Okay, welcome to the review of Form A 4.2, test about simplifying and evaluating exponents. Well, as I've told you many times, before you attempt to put any of these numbers in here, you need to simplify. So here we go. You'll notice you have x's on the top and bottom. This is the rule. X over a divided by xb is x a minus b. So 4 minus 1, somebody said, oh, there's not a 1 there. It's automatically 1. If it's not a squared or a cubed or a fourth power, fifth power, it's obviously 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. So I have x3 on top, I still have y3 on the bottom, and I still have a 3 on the bottom. Nothing else here is going to simplify. There's no other like terms, so I'm ready to evaluate. I'm going to put a negative 3 in for x, because that's what it says x is. On the bottom, I've got a 3, but I'm going to replace the y with a 4. So we can do a little math here. For the denominator, which is here, I've got 3 times 4 to the third power. The denominator is 192. For the numerator, you've got negative 3 to the third power. Remember to use the parentheses or you won't get the right answer. That's negative 27. And that's our final answer. Okay. If this would divide evenly, we could take it one more step, but it's not. It's going to be a decimal, an approximate decimal, so we'll just leave it like that. Okay, here we go. Negative 1 gets distributed to each of these items. Let's remember the rule. The rule is x to the negative a is equal to 1 over x to the a. You see when the when the exponent is negative, it flips the whole thing to the denominator of a fraction. So we end up here with 4 to the negative 1, x to the 0, z to the negative 4. How did these happen? Well, I'm using another rule as well, that the power of a power you multiply. 0 times negative 1 is 0. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. And by the way, this part here, anything to the 0 power becomes 1. So these two negative exponents need to be rewritten in the denominator. Like this. And now that becomes 1, and z is 2, so we have 2 to the fourth power. That's 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2, which is 8, times 2, which is 16. And then we have to do 16 times 4. So this final answer becomes 1 over 64. I encourage you to pause the video. You really should pause the video and try this again on your own without looking at the answer, right? Just see if you can actually do it. It's one thing to follow along. It's another thing to do it. All right, here we're going to be using this rule a lot. Multiplying exponents has the shortcut of adding them. So y1 times y squared. 1 plus 2 is y3. z3, z squared. 2 plus 3 is z to the fifth. X times nothing else, so I'm just carrying over the x. Now here's where people are messing up. Do not say this is 8. Do not say it's 0. There's no shortcut rule for multiplying whole numbers. You literally have to multiply them. 4 times 4, in this case, negative 16. Now I'm going to substitute the values that we were given for x, for y. Sorry, that's a positive 4. And for z. And you can type that into the calculator if you like and get a final answer here. You do have to show that work to get your answer.
Did we already do the fractions stuff?
Plus? So there it is, all typed out, and the final answer there is negative 98,304. Finally, in this section, I want to point out that power of a power, you'd be multiplying all these by 0. Everything's going to come out as to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is 1. This complicated beast is nothing more than 1. Okay, moving on. We're going to change pin colors to red, because why not? Simplify the expression. Right here, you've got to notice that's using this rule, that we're going to flip this exponent to the denominator. Why? Because it's got a negative. The 3 does not go. No, just the x. So this becomes 3 over x to the 4th. Here, we're going to start by simplifying this. We're going to use this rule. X to the a times, x to the a raised to the b is x to the a times b. So that's what's happening here. We end up with v12 in the denominator and b squared in the numerator. But now we can use this rule. X over a divided by x over b is x to the a minus b. You see we've got the same letter on top and bottom, the same variable. 2 minus 12, that equals v negative 10. 2 minus 12 is negative 10. Well, that again brings us to this idea. If it's a negative exponent, it's got to flip sides of the fraction line. So this is finally answered as that. Okay? I'd pause it. I'd start over. Cover these up. Give them a try again yourself. Moving on. Let's simplify right here. Well, 4 times 4, there's no shortcuts. These are just whole numbers. 4 times 4 is 16. Here we're multiplying x to the 4th times x. That makes x to the 5th. Here we're multiplying x cubed times x cubed times, y cubed times y cubed times y to the nothing to the 0. When we add that up, that's 3 plus 3. Using our shortcut rule, that looks like this. X to the a times x to the b is x to the a plus b. So there's that answer. Here we go. Negative 1 power outside goes to each item inside. So let's rewrite that. 2 to the negative 1. Q to the negative 1. M squared to the negative 1. That's 2 times negative 1. That's m to the negative 2. And 1 times 1, both being negative, makes it positive. Negative 1 times negative 1 is p to the 1. Okay, this one, this one, this one, all negative exponents. They go to the denominator. P1 is left on top. On the bottom we have 2 to the first, unnecessary to write the 1. Q to the first, unnecessary to write the 1. And m squared. There's your final answer. And right here, here we have a fraction. This is not 36 divided by 4, okay, which would be 9. That's not what this is. This is 4 over 36. So both the top and bottom should be divided by 4 to simplify this. 4 goes into 4 1 time. 4 goes into 36 9 times. This is the fraction 1/9. Okay, here we have a subtraction rule for dividing these exponents. 4 minus 12. X to the negative 8. Y1 minus y1 is y to the 0. So what does that give us? It gives us 1/9 x8. Y to the 0 is just 1. Okay, multiplying. space times height. So 4x squared times 2xy. That's 8x cubed, because 2 plus 1, and times y. Now, it says half of that. So if we divide by 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4, and we get our final answer right here. And this word problem is based on writing an exponent equation. We learned that they look like this. We're starting with $2,000. The amount we're going by is 0.065. That's 6.5%. But we need to add that to 100% of our money, or 1.0. So this becomes 1.065. We're going to do that for 20 years. So this equation has the wrong things. This one doesn't match. This one, 1.065. But looky here, wrong starting amount. This one, correct starting amount and 1.065. That's right, choice E. That is all.